Rev up your engines!
Well, in political news, Trump says he's going to speak with Putin on Tuesday about ending the war in Ukraine. Saying, well, let's cut a deal. The man was supposed to be the art of the deal, right? He's going to cut deals with these people. Now, of course, old Putin, he's not going to go home empty-handed to the Russians. So he's probably going to demand that he gets some kind of land that they claim was Russian anyways. The Ukrainian president, he kind of made a fool of himself going to Washington. Putin seems to know how to deal with Trump. When Trump was president last time, we weren't at war with the Russians, screaming and yelling about him, right? And interesting enough, if you want to look at a little historical stuff, when Trump was president, Putin didn't invade Ukraine. As soon as Biden became president, Putin met with Biden. He probably thought, hey, this is a senile guy. He doesn't know what's going on. I'll invade Ukraine now. And then he threatened us, saying, we'll use nukes if you help the Ukrainians. Well, we helped him, and he didn't use nukes. He was just rattling sabers, right? He thought he'd scare the senile old man. Well, guess what? The military-industrial complex runs this country more than just about anything else. If you remember Eisenhower, when he left, he said, beware the military-industrial complex. I mean, they're smart. They're building military stuff in almost every state, so there's jobs. I mean, they're not stupid. They've woven themselves in. And Putin made a mistake there, and then we made a whole bunch of money sending stuff over there. And people might say, oh, well, we gave it to Ukrainians. Well, Trump wants some payback, but regardless of that, we made a fortune. Well, not us. We taxpayers paid for it all. The corporations that made the bombs, tanks, and the weapons and everything, howitzers and the shells, they made a small fortune. So he misplayed that one, He thought he was going to just take over. Nobody was going to go against it. But they did, and now he's kind of in a stalemate. To save face, he'll probably cut some decent deal with Trump. And maybe they'll stop killing each other in the Ukraine. Well, things aren't looking good on the old economic home front. And since it's a tied-in world, it's all over the place. U.S. consumers are starting to crack. And they're saying the tariffs, there's inflation, and people are worried about a recession and not buying all the crap that they normally buy. You got to realize our economy is pretty based on people buying a bunch of crap over and over again. One of the reasons things are made so cheaply, well, then you got to buy something else, right? But it's not only the U.S., it's China. China is now announcing plans to, quote, vigorously boost consumption to shore up their economy. Their economy is getting kind of stale, right? And the funny thing is, a lot of the crap we buy here in the United States is Chinese junk, right? Well, now the Chinese are trying to get their people to buy their own Chinese junk, to buy more stuff. Kind of funny. Well, you got to realize, we used to be number one car market in the world. Number one car market in the world is now China. We're number two. We're still number one in terms of the crap that people buy, but China's now number two. So here we got these, in quote, communist Chinese leaders saying, hey, you guys got to buy more of our crap. Buy more crap. In a communist country, hey, the world's turned upside down, right? I find it kind of bizarre that both countries are having the same problem. People aren't buying as much crap as they used to. At least in China, they can say, well, it's homemade Chinese crap we're buying. We're over here, much of our stuff still comes from China, all the junk that we buy. Even in pants, shirts, socks, you name it, right? Things economically worldwide, they're starting to get a little shaky here. Well, you haven't seen it, you gotta watch it. A Tesla autopilot drove into a Wile E. Coyote fake road wall in a test they did of the driving systems, camera versus LiDAR. Now, if you don't know, most of the people's systems use LiDAR. It's a combination of laser, radar, right? And it measures where things are. Tesla only uses cameras. Now, they got a lot of cameras, right? But the problem with cameras don't really know exactly how far away things are and what they are. So, this guy, it's a hilarious test. You gotta watch it. It's a YouTube video called Can You Fool a Self-Driving Car? The camera didn't see it because it was a Wile E. Coyote fake wall. It was painted to look like the background. It just ran right through it, right? Where a radar or a LiDAR system, the more modern ones, they'd see that and come to a stop, right? Of course, to me, they should make a system that has both of them, right? But of course, it would cost more money to make. And we all know Tesla cuts corners when he builds stuff. Cameras cost a lot less than having a LiDAR system, right? But, I mean, the whole thing is, what we see as human beings is so much more complex than what these computers are looking at. And we can make decisions faster than they can over, is that a dangerous thing? Is that something real? Is that a deer? Is it just a picture of a deer? I had a customer in Houston that got rear-ended once because their Jeep slammed on the brakes because it thought the overpass that was going under the shadow was a wall or something, and it stopped and the guy rear-ended him. So, it's a long way to go for these self-driving systems, but it looks like Tesla really screwed up going with just cameras. And most experts agree. They say, hey, the LiDAR systems work better, and he just made a mistake going with the cameras, and he just continues making a mistake using only cameras. Well, it looks like the rats are jumping off the sinking ship, the SS Tesla. Tesla's top crash safety architect quit. He's the guy who designed all their safety stuff. He used to work at Saab and Volvo. Volvo's always known for being safe, really safe cars. But he's decided he's enough with Tesla, and he's leaving. Now, almost all the experts admit that the passive safety of the Teslas is excellent. Not active safety, passive safety. So what does that mean? Okay, passive safety is the car can be totally destroyed, but you're safe inside the car. Crumple zones. It used to be that people would say when I was a kid, hey, get yourself a big Lincoln or a Cadillac because you're safe. You're going to run into people, you're in a big car, and push them out of the way. Well, the way they work now is all that energy of wrecks crushes the car body parts. That absorbs all that kinetic energy, but you're safe inside with airbags and good frames and stuff, right? Guy was ahead of it. He's now leaving Tesla. And the funny thing was, he didn't give any real reasons of why. He just said, I had a great time. Thanks, everybody. I'm out of here. Normally they say he's going to concentrate on whatever, his fly fishing collection. I don't know. But he didn't even say that. He just, I'm out of here. Bye. A lot of these guys are leaving now. They're kind of seeing the golden day of Tesla is gone. The SS Tesla is starting to sink, and they're all jumping off of it now. Well, anybody that's got common sense has found out that electric vehicles really aren't that popular in the United States, and they have just batteries in them. Well, these same cases even happen in Europe now. The European Automotive Manufacturer Association's figures for 2024 show the first and foremost option of people buying new vehicles were gasoline-powered vehicles. Then they were followed by hybrid gasoline-powered vehicles. And then in third place were the battery electric vehicle, which were only 13.6% of the sales. So as Europeans are trying to say, we're going to have battery electric cars. And here's the interesting thing. The worst seller were the PHEVs, the ones that are plug-in hybrids, where you can drive a certain amount. Like I've got a customer that bought one of these RAV4 plug-in hybrids. He says he can go 55 miles in town or on a highway on battery only, but those massive failures. And that's kind of interesting. This is in Europe. They're supposed to be the ones that, we're going to change over. Because, interestingly enough, they were trying to push these plug-in hybrids as the next step. You get a plug-in hybrid, and then next you get a full battery one if you don't mind it. Well, people aren't buying them. They cost a lot more. 55 miles of range. A lot of people are saying, well, what good is that, right? Most people don't want to use their car as an experiment. They want something that's dependable. They can use it all the time. And they're like, hey, the hybrid costs a lot less, gets phenomenal gas mileage. What do I care if I can drive this thing 40 or 50 miles on battery alone? Because then when that battery goes bad, it costs a small fortune, right? If you have a hybrid, take the biggest hybrid of them all, the Toyota Priuses, right? When they get older, you can get remanufactured batteries installed for as little as $1,500. That's not the case for the plug-in hybrids. Those batteries are bigger, closer to the size of the full electric vehicles, and they cost tons more to replace when they go bad. And people realize this, so they're going for the hybrids, but not the plug-ins, even in Europe. Well, here's a situation you don't want to be in, but fortunately it worked out great for the woman. A missing woman survived being trapped in her car for 6 days after she crashed into a ditch. She got several broken bones, but as we all know, generally you're going to get dehydrated in that period of time. Well, she soaked her hoodie in the drainage water of the ditch and drank it. And that kept her going. Now, she said that she fell asleep. She went so far below the sight line of the road that nobody saw it. So it must have been kind of in the middle of nowhere. Most places, a farmer or somebody's going to see her. She said she tried yelling for help, but nobody could hear her because she was deep down. And her phone was dead, okay? Keep your phone charged up. Get a phone that lasts a long time. I got this new Google Pixel 9 Pro, and that thing is phenomenal. It lasts a really long time. I got T-Mobile, and it uses the satellites, so you can do emergency calls. It'd be a good reason to have something like that, right? One of her problems was she was driving a Ford Taurus. If she would have had one of those GMs with OnStar or a company that's got something, the car would have immediately called and warned people. And she was in Indiana. Every place I've driven in Indiana has cell coverage. When I drive through it, I drive through it all the time, going back and forth. Keep your phone charged. And look, why don't you just make a habit? You're in a car, right? Make sure you got a phone charger. Be prepared. These days, people aren't prepared for hardly anything. Their arms are still working. She could have grabbed the charger. She could have plugged it in and charged it and called people up. Be prepared, people. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.